And welcome to the Caputo versus the Farina Del Mio Sacco contest for pizza dough making. Farina Del Mio Sacco means flour of my sack, and therefore I'll only be calling it Farina from now on. So with that aside, let's get down to business. So just run through the ingredients. We're going to start off with the farina flour, 1 kilogram, and to both flours we're going to add around 3% salt, which is about 30 grams. We're going to be adding 630 grams of water to get 63% hydration, 1% fat, which is about 10 grams of olive oil, and we're going to have about 2 grams of instant dry yeast. In with the flour then. And it's nice and powdery like we don't expect with the 00 flour. Make sure we get it all out. Give a quick tap on the top. That's it. Tap, tap, tap. Get it all out. So give it a quick run through. Yeah, get rid of any lumps or bumps that we might have got. Very rare you get anything like that with 00 flour. So the farina is very, very powdery. As you can see, just sticking nicely to my hands like dust. So I'm going to put the yeast into the water. This is instant dry yeast, and we've got about 2 grams there. Give it a quick stir it around. Make sure that the yeast doesn't have any lumps or bumps in it. Yeah, I'll push it a bit closer so you can have a better look at that. Round and round it goes. You'll probably want to stir it for a couple of minutes, but for us that's enough. And then just leave it for a couple of minutes, just to make sure that you get some little bubbles rising on the top to make sure that the yeast is actually working. So with the flour now, I'm just going to add in that 30 grams of salt. There you go. Here it goes. I'm going to give it a good pour in now. Pull that a bit further so you can see it. And any second now, we'll pour it in. There we go. In with the salt. Alright, just mix that in. Get any last lumps and bumps out, mix the salt in, there we go, quite nicely, stir it around. Again, you'll probably want to spend a good couple of minutes doing this, but for the magic of TV, we'll stop it there. So next in with the water, and we'll just pour it in gradually. Stir around with a fork and wait till it starts to come together. I do this in a bowl nowadays because I'm fed up of getting into trouble with my wife making a mess of the kitchen. So there we go, that's coming together nicely, just to drop more water in. There we go. Keep stirring, you'll gradually start to feel it coming together and a little bit more stiff, as I say. I tend to use a fork at this point. I'm not too worried about any lumps because they will come out in the kneading process. So this is coming together, all the water's in now, so just put a bit of flour on deck for dusting and then pull all the dough that we've been mixing so far in the bowl with a fork, because it's now basically ready for some kneading, just getting a good scrape around the edges because there's plenty of flour still left in there. So that's all the dough out, so just getting the timer, setting it for 15 minutes, that's how long it's going to basically give it to mix and knead it all together. And away we go. Now, I'm sure as I'm mixing this together, you're not going to want to watch me absolutely mixing all this together for the next 15 minutes, because quite frankly that would be quite boring. So what I propose we do is we just speed this little video up just a little tad. So here we go then with the speeded up version, and as we start to work it through, it's starting to become less lumpy, and then proteins obviously go in because it's starting to stretch and stretch and stretch some more, and you'll notice how it starts to really look like I can really stretch it. It's a good workout video, this kneading lark. I can tell you now, I were absolutely knackered at the end of this. But as you can see now, look, we're really starting to get them proteins working. One thing I would say about the mix that I noticed is that I don't think this would take much more water than the 63%. It was quite tacky, but it was coming together nicely, but it was a little bit on the wet side. So just knocking any last air out, and we'll start to look to bowl it up in a minute. So here we go, round and round we go, and you can see it's coming nicely into a ball shape. So a floured bowl, pop that in using the scraper just to lift it off, put it into the bowl, And good little tip, this next bit. If you're ever at a hotel, get yourself a shower cap, because they are pretty good at going over the top of the bowl rather than using that cling film stuff. So that is the Farina all mixed. So the next contestant is the Caputo. There we go. So into a clear bowl, sprinkle it all in. There we go. Make sure it's all in. Get a good tap at the top when it's all in. That's it. Tap, tap, tap. And that's it. Bite it all in. So just rub your fingers through, get any lumps, bumps, or anything else that could be in there out. That's it. Get a good stir around. There we go. Well, I wouldn't expect anything different from a 00 flour. Very fine. Right, in with the salt. 30 grams. Same as last time. There we go. 30 grams of salt in. And then just get a quick mix round with your hand. Make sure all the salt's evenly mixed through that flour. So, quick change bowl. Put the yeast in. Again, 2 grams of yeast into the water with the 630 grams of water and 10 grams of oil. Get a quick stir around. You'll need to do it for a couple of minutes, but for us that'll do. Okay, so in with the first lot of water. Let's pour that in. That'll do. And again, using a fork, we'll just give it a quick stir to make sure it brings it all together. And then not so worried again about the lumps and the bumps and stuff. That'll all come out when we get it onto the deck and start to do the kneading. Okay, so just in with the last couple of drops of water. There we go. And we'll just give that another bit more of a stir around, just to make sure and get as much of that flour involved with that water and get it absorbed. Okay, that's done. So timer set for 15 minutes. Let's pour it out onto the deck. Get all the loose bits out. There we go. Have a scrape around the bowl. Plenty there to be had. There we go. That's it all out. Put that rest of them bits off my fingers. Now we'll make a start. So away we go with the mixing, and the 15-minute timer is off. Well done if you made it with us so far. So this is the Caputo now mixing. So a bit like the last one. I think it would be a bit boring if we stuck with me for the whole 15 minutes. So let's speed it up, because quite frankly, life is a little bit too short. So first thing I noticed about this dough is, when we started to make it, was the fact that it seemed to be a bit more stiff. And I think, to be quite honest with you, it probably could have took a little bit more water. In fact, it probably could have took quite a lot more water. So kneading it through, and you can see starting to really take that like kind of dough shape. Having a bit of trouble there with the chopping board moving. But now you can see, just reflouring the board. It's really starting to take that like kind of like dough shape. Now it's really coming into like a bit of a dough ball. Really kneading it through. It's looking pretty good now. Quick roll round. And there we go. We're just about there. And this will be ready for going into a floured mixing bowl. Here we go. So just a quick lift up. Didn't need the scraper that time. It wasn't as tacky as the Farina, I've got to say. Bit of flour on the top, and of course another shower cap. Look at that. Wonderful. That's the Caputo mixed. So I left this out for about 6 hours at room temperature, about 20 degrees or so. And as you can see, this is kind of what it looked like after a couple of hours as I'm going through. They seem to rise pretty normally, both of them. No real difference, as you can probably see from the pictures. Then it was into the fridge for the evening. So night night, lads. The following morning, this is what it looked like. As you can see, risen quite a bit. Both pretty similar, as you can see. Plenty of air bubbles in there. There's a Caputo. Here's a Farina. Not much difference, as you can see. Okay, balls. Sorry, that's a bit personal. Right, in with making the dough balls. So here you go. This is the Farina. And we're going to be making them to around 230 grams today. So as you can see, just pulling it apart, you can see the strands. This is certainly not as strandy as a string as I thought it would be. There's a lot of air in there. But you tell me what you think on the comments below. But there you go. That's pulling it on nice and straight. So you can already see it's quite stretchy. As I said earlier, I don't think this one would have took much more water in terms of adding more hydration. So a bit of flour on the old scales there, and we're going to cut the lump off, and hopefully this will be a good guess at around 230. And by the looks of it, usual case, no it's not. Put that little bit on, and yeah, there we go. Nicely done. 230 grams. Right, let's stick that away. So just moulding it here. I noticed it was a little bit sticky. You know, it was a bit sticking to my hands. I had to flour my hands a couple of times. And trying to weed it through my thumb and forefinger to try and make a nice smooth dough ball. Eventually got there, tie that off. There we go. Roll it in a bit of flour. As you can see, there's a bit of residue still stuck to me fingers there. So yeah, quite tacky. It did feel like I'd put a lot of hydration in, but it was measured out, and they were both, these have been both treated the same. Into the takeaway bowl, and flour that, put it in, and put the lid on, and jobs are good, and so that's the Farina dough ball done. Next on to Caputo then. So yeah, that's looking pretty much the same, bit smoother on the top. Now look at the difference here, look at the difference. There you go. As I say, it's exactly the same amount of water, salt and yeast that we've put in, so a lot more finer strings in here. So let's get that onto the chopping board then. Now here we go. So put a bit of flour on. There we go, lovely. And let's just nick a little bit off. Hopefully, again, this is 230 grams for each dough ball. Let's reset the scales. Not quite there, a bit generous with this one, I think, on this occasion. Put that little bob black. And there we go, hey presto, 230. Right, okay, so let's roll this one. And straight away I noticed that this was very smooth to start off with. It didn't really require much rolling around in my fingers. So there we go. We are just about there with that Caputo dough ball. A bit of flour in the takeaway box, and in with the dough ball, and on with the lid, and the job on that one is a good one. So here they are, all done. A bit like Blue Peter. Here's the others that we made earlier, already raring to go to be made into some lovely pizza. I left these out for about 4 hours. Right, on to the main event then. Let's make some pizza. So we're starting off with the farina, and let's get that dough ball out of that packet. So as I say, left for about another 4 hours at room temperature in the ball form. Out it comes, nice and clean, came out nice and clean, not sticking to the takeaway box. So you can now judge my technique if you like. All self-taught. I've not been to any catering colleges or anything like that. I've just literally picked up the technique watching people on the internet. So I'm not up to spinning it in the air kind of thing, not by a long shot, but I have managed to be able to roll out a bit of a pizza without having to resort to the rolling pin or bottle of wine, like the bottles of wine you probably see behind. They have been a bit of a feature in the other videos. So there we go. It was quite tacky again, quite difficult to work with, so plenty of flour was needed on my hands with the Farina pizza base. But I did manage to get it nice and thin, as you can see, and you see there, it just stuck to my hands just slightly again. So on with some sauce. This is some homemade sauce, which you can see a video on the series 2 that we did. So just on with the bit of the hard cheese, and then we'll put some the old buffalo mozzarella on now. Here we go, bit of buffalo mozzarella, just to make that classic margherita. So on with that. It's starting to look really nice now, and if your mouth's not watering, it never will do. There's nothing finer than pizza, is there? The old. So now on to the peel. Nice and floured peel. On we go, and off to the box. So there we go. It's now in the Roccbox and cooking away. There we are, a little bit later on. It was a bit of a rainy day, and there is the Farina finished product. So a bit of a cut, and it was very, very lovely and crispy, this pizza. Really, really crispy. In case you're wondering, I can actually cut that with one hand. Probably better with two, but I also had the camera in the other hand. So everybody's going to get a couple of slices each. So we've got a judging panel today. We've got Oliver, my mum, and my wife Natalie, plus myself. Will be doing some judging of the actual finished products. So they are all sliced up. That is a Farina. Look at that crust, absolutely looking good. Lots of air bubbles, looking lovely and lush, ready to eat. But before we do any judgment, let's move on to Caputo. Here we go then. So with the Caputo one. There it is in its takeaway box, straight out onto the work surface. And again, comment as you will on my technique of rolling out a pizza. This was a bit more easy to handle, this dough. It certainly wasn't as sticky, and you didn't have to put as much flour on your hands. So yeah, it was easier to handle. As you can see, it certainly stretches out quite nicely, and it's getting to that point now where we'll be ready for putting some tomato sauce on. So just opening out the pizza there, and just skimming it straight out. I'm not such a lover of larger crusts, so I must admit I try and flatten them out a little bit, but I know that's not to everybody's liking or tastes, but it certainly is to mine. So on with some tomato sauce then. There we go. Put that over. Nice sprinkling of that stuff. And again, on with the old Italian hard cheese. There we go. Oh, this kind of looks like something else, that cheese. And on with some nice buffalo mozzarella again. Really, really nice. You just cannot beat that combination. Cheese, tomato and bread. Onto the peel. Not quite that time, Mr. Smith. There we go. Got it on that time. Into the box. Into the Roccbox. And that is the finished product. And again, got a chance to slice it up one-handed. The one-handed slice. And again, this was crispy. Not as crisp as the last one. I must admit, it wasn't as crispy. But it looks just as good, doesn't it? Really, really does look good. So just making sure there's enough slices for the judging panel, and we'll open that out so you can see inside that crust just in a second. Put the knife down, and there you go. That's it opened up. Look at that. And again, lots of air bubbles. It's a very close call, this. It's going to be a very close call, this contest, I must say. Whilst you're looking at that pizza, don't be disturbed by my lockdown hair that you're about to see now. So there you have it, the cooking video using the two flours, comparing them together. What did I think? So first off, the Caputo. So this is around £3 or £4 a bag in some places. You can get it off Amazon for about £22 for 10 bags or so. So you can also get 25 kilogram bags. So you've got to really shop around for this stuff to try and get it at a reasonable price. It has got a protein content of 13 grams per 100, which gives it around 26%. So a high protein content in this one. Manageability wise, it managed really well. When it was putting the water in and kneading together, it wasn't as sticky, quite manageable. And you probably saw from the video, came together quite nicely, handled really nicely as well. When it came to bowling up, again, really nice, bowled up, didn't stick to your hands too much. Felt actually like it probably could have took a little bit more water as well. But being a fair test, we did the 63%, so we kept it at that. Farina, what can we say about that? So, of protein, it's got 11.2 grams per 100, so a little bit less than the Caputo. So what can I say about this? So it's 50p a bag from Tesco's in the UK. When it came down to handling, so it was using 63% hydration. It was a little bit more sticky. It didn't come as well together as quickly, a bit more tricky to handle. I don't think it probably could have took much more in terms of moisture. And again, when boiling up as well, you could feel it sticking, so you had to use lots of baby hands in lots of flour to stop it from sticking. In terms of cook wise, they both cooked brilliant pizza, there's no doubt about it. So the all important taste stuff. So we've had 4 judges here. We've had myself, Oliver of course, Natalie and my mum, with it being Mother's Day today. They both tasted both margaritas. We all had slices each. The unanimous decision was that pizza A was the winner, and pizza A was the Farina. In conclusion, don't get me wrong, they're both very good flours. I think if you're doing it on a professional basis, you may go with the Caputo. However, for your home cook, I would say, why not go with this stuff? It delivered a real nice pizza. And for people in the UK, this stuff is easy to get. It's in most Tesco's and it's 50p a bag. 50p a bag, an absolute bargain. Nothing wrong with this stuff, the Caputo, nothing wrong. I've used this stuff quite a bit myself. I thought I would do a comparison video just for everybody to see. I'd certainly not say no to bags of that in the future, but I think for regular use now, I think I'll be using that. If you did like this video, or did you like the comparison videos, I am more than happy to do some more, so please drop some comments, or alternatively you can go through the Gozney Facebook group and leave some comments on there if you want me to test drive any other flours using the same principles that we did before. If you like what you see, of course, please subscribe, hit the bell, as Oliver would say. We will be back very soon with series 3 of the cooking videos. And we might, when this lockdown's finished, do some get about videos together, me and Oliver. So from all of us here, from me and Oliver, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you soon. Bye for now.